Looking a little bit back at the 2018 and as it's kind of nearing its expiration date, but you said it doesn't actually expire.
No, there are pieces of it that expire September 30th. Most of the big ticket items really don't. The crop insurance program, which is the absolute number one priority I know to producers all across the country now, is permanently authorized. Congress doesn't have to do anything. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which cost-wise is by far the biggest part of the farm program, it is reauthorized every year through the appropriations process. So it's not affected by what happens with the Farm Bill. The conservation programs, most of those were authorized and then reauthorized through 2031, I believe, in the Inflation Reduction Act, which passed last year. So they're not affected by September 30th. The commodity programs are tied to, for the most part, to the marketing year for particular crops, are not affected by the September 30th. There are a few smaller programs that are affected. The biggest one of concern to Congress is the dairy program, which will expire December 31st. And at that point, because of a permanent law provision that's been in successive farm bills, when that dairy program expires, USDA would have to go back, revert to a 1949 law, which would require them to buy it. In short, it would dramatically increase milk and dairy prices, something that the Congress can't let happen.
One of the things that you brought up in a past presentation was changes with reference prices being a topic of conversation.
This is probably the biggest single, with no question, it's the biggest single issue that the committees are wrestling with because of the increases in fertilizer and other input prices the last few years. There's a lot of pressure from commodity groups to increase the reference prices that trigger payments under the price loss coverage program. But it gets pretty expensive. They have a cost estimate from the Congressional Budget Office of about $24 billion to do just a 10% increase in reference prices.
Something else also involving money then, mandatory base acres, possibly wanting an update, but how realistic is that?
It'd be very difficult to do, and partly because it creates a lot of winners and losers, not among states, among commodities, among individual farmers. This has to do with the issue that commodity payments are linked to a farm's base acreage, what is essentially what the crops that farm grew over about 20 to 25 years ago. Well, there have been some big changes, including right here in Kansas, in what farmers grow. There's corn growing on land, even out in western Kansas, dryland corn that was wheat ground 2 decades ago. That's true in a lot of other states. So there are groups. The National Corn Growers Association has been the lead in this and saying this needs to be redone. There's a lot of concern about particularly young farmers who don't have base acres. But again, changing that creates a lot of winners and losers.